Hello BookTube, this is Weekly Reads, and I've had a very good reading week. First, I'm going to talk a bit more about X-Force in the Krakoa era. I read X-Force Volume 2 by Benjamin Percy and some artists that I blank on Sunday, and I wanted to talk a bit more about both volumes. So, the current state of the X-Men is that the X-Men and their associated characters are based on the mutant island of Krakoa, and Krakoa has been declared the mutant nation state. And various X characters have formed various teams for various purposes. One of which is X-Force, which acts as Krakoa's special services, secret service, intelligence agency, what have you. And during these two volumes, X-Force confronts two threats. One is a human supremacist organization called Xeno, who uses bioengineering to construct artificial humans as agents, assassins, what have you. They're first introduced capturing Domino and torturing her to further their own agenda. And they attack Krakoa numerous times. Also, the Latin American or Caribbean nation of Terra Verde, who are experimenting with botanic biotechnology. And so the team consists of Beast. Hank McCoy is the team leader. Sage, Tessa, I don't think she's ever gotten a last name, as sort of the tech mission control, essentially. Wolverine, Marvel Girl, Jean Grey, Domino, and Kid Omega, or Quentin Quire. So they basically are fighting Xeno and taking care of Terra Verde. And overall, this X-Force in these two volumes, it's an enjoyable hot mess of a book. And I think it's a hot mess largely because the team really doesn't gel all that much. X-Force is, there are team books that can use disparate characters and make a successful book out of it. But usually those are more generalized teams. X-Force is basically the mutant CIA, and really would benefit from having characters who really sort of have experience in similar teams or in similar situations. And so, Wolverine, Domino, Sage, yes, they would really work well as a mutant CIA or on a mutant CIA type team. But Beast, no, he's a scientist. He should be on something else. Jean Grey, should be on an X-Men team, not mutant CIA, even though she doesn't, she's not there long, before she moves on to actually being on an X-Men team, or the X-Men. And Quentin Quire, I have no idea why Kid Omega's on this team. He's like 18, 20. He should be in New Mutants or the younger X-Men team book. But anyway, so that's my one issue, is the team doesn't really work. But anyway, so aside from X-Force, I read or reread Priest of Lies by Peter McLean. This is the second book in the War for the Rose Throne series. This novel sees Thomas Piety, the boss of the Pious Men gang, basically continuing his, consolidating his hold on the eastern side of Ellenberg. He originally controlled, the Stink section of the city or neighborhood, and he's since taken over the Wheels section of the city. So he effectively controls the eastern side of the city, while the Scanian infiltration of the city, which was the main focus of the first book, has taken over gangs in the western side. So it's basically Thomas controls the east. Bloodhands, who was a member of the Gut Cutters in the first book, has now taken over the gang called the Northern Sons. Thomas's relationship with his wife, Elsa, the Queen's man, who basically ran his operations and sort of used him as a pawn in her war against Scanian influence in the city, is tense. And so that's where we start the novel. Gradually, the conflict between the Pious Men and the Northern Sons escalates. The governor of the city is throwing his hat in with the Scanians, and from Dansburg, the capital, requests have been made to find other cunning folk like Thomas's adopted son, Billy the Boy. He's a very powerful young man with a very strong talent in the cunning of magic. This request for cunning folk leads Thomas, Elsa, and Billy to Dansburg, where Thomas gets involved in the House of Magicians and with other members of the Queen's Men, and he returns and has it out with Bloodhands and then other things. And this book is really good. I enjoyed it so much. I mentioned last Friday when I said I was going to be rereading this that I didn't like Priest of Lies as much as I did Priest of Bones, and on this rereading, I'm changing my opinion. I like it just as much. This novel is really good. And I think my issue with the book, the first time I read it, was the Dansburg interlude. That part 2, it's a bit different. And it does take away from sort of the long-running plot of dealing with the Scanians and the sort of politics of organized crime. But, I mean, this interlude really, I think, builds up to this book 3 and possibly book 4, and also really sort of foreshadows Thomas's character changes at the end of this novel, which is really, really well done, I think. I think another issue I had that bugged me at the time and still bugs me is the romance, the romantic subplot between Thomas and Elsa. It just, I guess maybe it had been toned down or just excised. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, I really enjoyed Priest of Lies, and I'm looking forward to finally getting around to reading the third book in the series, Priest of Gallows. Though I'm not entirely sure when I will get to that. After Priest of Lies and X-Force Volume 2, I read Word of Mouth, an anthology of gay American poetry edited by Timothy Liu. This is a collection I've had for a long time. I talked a bit about it during my library tour. This is one of the first books I bought from Book People, and it's been with me for 20 years now, or going on 20 years, I should say. It's got a lot of really fantastic poets in here, a lot of fantastic poetry, and some not so much. This collection really has got me wanting to read more Robert Duncan, Frank O'Hara, James Merrill. Really, I don't know why there's only one poem by James Merrill in here. Allen Ginsberg, I want some more by. I want to actually really got interested in Tim DeLogos. His work really sort of interested me, as well as Jaime Manrique, quite liked. So yeah, really, really highly recommend this book. Although I'm pretty sure it's a decade or more out of print now, but I really loved revisiting these poems. So after I finished Word of Mouth, I had a free day today, so I decided I was going to read some more comics on my Kindle, because that's pretty much where I have my comics, except for my manga, obviously. But so I've been using Kindle Unlimited to read free comics, and so today I read the first volume of Saga by Brian K. Vaughan, with the art by Fiona Staples. Saga is the story of Hazel, the daughter of Alana, a soldier from Landfall, and Marco, a soldier from Leith, two warring planets in a wild and crazy space opera. They met when Marco was a prisoner of war, and he and Alana fell in love, and he escaped with her. They married and had Hazel, and both governments have sent out various agents to kill Marco and Alana and capture Hazel. Landfall has sent Prince Robot 4, humanoid robot with a television for a head, while the Wreath government has sent out a number of freelance assassins. First to stalk a human torso with a spider body, and the Will, who looks human, although whether or not Earth exists in this setting, who knows. I never got that far. So I read Saga when it originally was released. I mean, it's still ongoing, although it's coming off of a 3-year hiatus. And I really enjoyed the series. It's wild, it's crazy, and yeah, it's wonderful. Although I've heard it kind of gets a bit darker as it goes along, but I think I've read only maybe the first 2-3 volumes. I don't think I made it much beyond that. But anyway, so yeah, I really, really enjoyed revisiting Saga, and I'll probably read volume 2 at some point. Not sure when. So that's what I read this past week. I also finished off Jupiter's Legacy. It's the live-action film adaptation, or live-action television adaptation from Netflix of Jupiter's Legacy by Mark Millar, which I've never read and is not available on Kindle Unlimited, and I actually have to pay money for it. But anyway, so I'd say there are parts of the series that I quite liked. I really liked sort of that conflict between an older, more idealistic hero and a younger, more jaded, more cynical, younger generation of heroes. Ones who chafe at the restrictions they have to face because of this idealistic code. I was less enamored of the half of the show that focused on the original heroes, the Utopian, Lady Liberty, Brainwave, etc., gaining their powers. Like how Sheldon sort of had the visions of this island and how he gathered a group of people together to go to the island. That just, I think, went on a little too long, to be honest, and perhaps could have been its own separate thing. Um, and I think the first season, well, the only season, probably could have. I think there's a more natural ending than the one gets. Although, so I'm assuming the second season would have probably just been an adaptation of the third volume or the third issue, which is anyway. So it's a mixed bag. Although I do think the costuming, some of that was a bit wonky. So anyway, now what will I be reading this coming reading week? I'm planning on having another go at the Swimming Pool Library by Alan Hollinghurst. I read this book years ago and really enjoyed it, but my most recent attempts at reading it last year were bails. And hopefully, being 2 for 2 with fiction, even though this was supposed to be No Fiction 2022, I'm hoping I'll be able to get over whatever issue I'm having with fiction and I can read this and enjoy it because I really want to re-experience this novel. Um, um, so I'm thinking I should have Monday free. Um, I'm thinking I should be able to read the Swimming Pool Library this weekend, which will give me Monday free. So I'm planning on reading Eden Zero, Volume 1 by Hiro Mashima, and I don't want to spoil my January book haul, so we're just going to go with Eden Zero, Volume 1. And then, starting February 1st, I'll be reading Imaro by Charles Saunders. This is work of Sword and Soul. It's a subgenre of sword and sorcery that's inspired by African myth and African history. And it's been a while since I've read this, and I'm looking forward to it. And since I forgot to talk about what Eden Zero is actually about, Eden Zero is the follow-up manga by Hiro Mashima, or Hiro Mashima's most recent series, I should say. It's a space opera about a young boy named Shiki who has lived all his life on a planet of robots. One day he meets a human tourist named Rebecca and her cat Happy. And obviously, kind of a appearance of Happy from Fairy Tale. Shiki joins Rebecca and Happy in an adventure guild, and they go on a number of adventures. So yeah, I really enjoyed it when I read it the first time, and I'm looking forward to rereading it and beyond. And after I finish Imaro, because I'm thinking I should be able to read Imaro and 2 or 3 days. I'm going to be reading Toilet Bound Hanako-kun by Aidalro. This is a manga series about the most haunted middle school in Japan. There are 7 mysteries, of which Hanako-kun is the 7th, and he basically sort of monitors the other 6 mysteries, as well as all the other hauntings and what have yous that goes on. He meets a young girl who, or a young woman who has heard that if she goes to his stall and makes a wish, he'll grant it. And this wish basically sends her on a volume span, an adventure. I read this a few months ago and really enjoyed it. I love the artwork, and I'm really looking forward to revisiting Toilet Bound Hanako-kun and beyond. Like spoilers for my January book haul, although I think you could probably tell what it's largely going to be. Anyway, but I'll do that. So yeah. So that's kind of what I'll be reading. Next week, as far as BookTube is concerned, I will be continuing with my library tour. I'll be finishing up this shelf by Tuesday, if everything goes according to plan. And then I have a decision to make. I can either do my manga shelf up here, even though, of course, a good chunk of that will already, of the manga will be covered by my January book haul, which I will be doing probably Monday evening, because I don't think I'll have enough time or really want to do 2 really long videos Monday afternoon when I usually film, because I'm getting onto the longer shelves, and so the videos are going to be 20 plus minutes, almost certainly, depending how long I natter on. The second shelf of the lower shelf of my headbook bookcase was half an hour long, and the first shelf of the modern and contemporary fiction was 20 minutes long, or 24 minutes long. So yeah, they're going to be a bit longer, and the book haul is going to be long because it's big. It's very big. And I'm excited to talk about the books and put them on the shelves. I don't know if I'm going to be doing a book tag next week. I mean, there's one book tag that's interesting. I haven't seen any others, though. It seems like there's a dearth of tags lately, but maybe there'll be some this weekend and next week that will pique my interest. And of course, I will be doing weekly reads on Friday, as I always do. So yeah, one thing before I go is why I'm probably reading a lot more comics, beyond the fact that they really seem to be pleasing me, is like the last 2 weeks on Friday, I've actually been cooking quite a bit and more involved dishes. Last Friday I made a pizza, homemade, which turned out rather well, all things considered. The pizza did stick to the pan, so I need to kind of work on that, but it was good. I really enjoyed it. And then today I made a chicken pie with biscuit crust out of the gourmet cookbook. I also used the pizza dough recipe from the gourmet cookbook, so that's really good. Although I didn't actually make the filling, I did the biscuit crust, which is basically just make biscuits and put it on top of the filling. I made my usual sort of chicken sauce thing. that I usually make to put on rice or noodles. I basically just made that and put the biscuits from the biscuit crust recipe on there, and it turned out pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that. So I don't know if I'll be doing any more cooking like that next week, but just in case, I'll probably one of the reasons why. Um, Focusing a bit more on manga and comics, although I mean they're also really pleasing me. So yeah. Anyway, I'm starting to natter on, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. Thank you, BookTube. Have a great evening and weekend, and I will see you Monday with part 10 of my 2022 library tour and my January book haul, which is, again, insane. So till then, BookTube, thank you, and stay safe.